interesting to me that many people believe that family is everything. And no matter what, family is everything no matter what.
Right.
But what does it take to finally discover and sit and tell yourself that family isn't everything? That they may not be the caring, loving people that you thought they were and have your best interest.
A point to make around that is when people allow themselves to be more than they were before they came here in this life. Of course, that's why we got here, you guys. We're here to learn things. We're here to experiment and explore, all right? And in doing that, you're going to become more. You just are. That's the whole point. What's the point in being here? So when you step out of bounds many times when you're in a family that isn't as maybe excited about being here, or they don't have a vision for their future. They don't have that passion, that urge, that feeling about, I want to be a musician, or I want to draw homes, or I want to travel. I want to do all this stuff. Well, a lot of times the family will take issue with that and go, who do you think you are, leaving your home? Who do you think you are, leaving us behind, and stuff like that. So that's what happens many times, and it's really not meant to hurt anybody's feelings. Like in Guided, they were all offended by me, even my own daughter. So I still would have done what I did, because I know in my heart of hearts that I was so driven, and I still am, okay, to see these things through that I'm being guided to do. How do I say no to my real family, my spiritual family, the family that we all planned this together? In fact, in Guided, in part 1, there's 4 parts to Guided. Part 1 reads, raised by spirit guides. Now, and that's really what my reality was, and I kept it to myself until I was 60 years old, and when I wrote Guided. So I guarded that fact that long. That's how important it was for me not to let anybody take my real family away from me, all right? But the family you came in with, they're the ones that really get what's going on with you. They're the ones that know you best. And with that said, there's nothing that you can't figure out, do, or have. When you have that connection with your real family, the spiritual family, okay, that you guys all figured this lifetime out. Now, that guy that Ray was talking about that became a clock fixer in a family of all attorneys, he came in to break up that mentality. His job, part of his job and their lessons, was for him to break that up, for him to throw a wrench in that, for them to let up on that. He was like, he protested in a way by doing what he wanted to do. So it's interesting. The family, they probably tolerated him, right, Ray?
They did. They treated him like an outcast.
Like an outcast.
Him and his family.
Because he was. Okay, I'm in Guided. In my book Guided, it talks about me. I was an oddball. I was an outcast. I realized it when I started kindergarten. So yeah, he was an outcast. But you know what? You've got to be okay with being who you are, and that's what your guides support you in. They support you in being true to yourself and living out the gifts and the talents that you brought with you. Living it, breathing it, seeing it manifest. Being true to yourself. That's being true to yourself.
Shelley has a good question. It's a good Linda question. After family members die, okay?
Yeah.
Can they still influence your life? Good or bad? Either way.
Okay, let's take I'm going to use myself, Shelley. I think you guys have all read Guided, right? Guided? My mom. Does my mom was, she was really the star of the book, and not because it was a good thing, but because she played this part in this lifetime that really has had a chain effect on the entire family, all the way down to my granddaughter. And my granddaughter will be 26 years old this month, and she's probably not too far off. She's got a boyfriend, she's engaged, of having a child of her own, and then I would be a great grandmother, right? I know.
You need to do something great then.
So the effect that my mother had on the entire family lineage was so powerful, and still is, all right, so in terms of their behavior toward me. My mom was determined to destroy me from the time I was born. So since she didn't physically accomplish that, and then when I left the house at 16, and a couple years later, I became I became a superstar. I just fell into it. I didn't even know that would happen. I didn't even think about it. It wasn't something that I strived for. I just did what I loved. I did what I was guided to do, and it showed up. My mom really went after me then. And she did it by taking the family members and making them hate me, making them work against me, making them contrive against me, and in the background, always trying to get me, all right? And you know what? It's still going on to this day. To this day. So, do the families that die off, do the family members that die off, in my mom's case, do they still have an effect in this life? No, they don't. But what they did while they were here, and the people who enjoyed what it was that they got from that family member that they want to see live on. In my case, it's not the high road. In my family's, my daughter, my granddaughter, my older brother, they still don't, and even my little brother got tainted with that. My father died years ago.
But he also changed when you became successful.
He did. He fell into it too. He resented me. He did. So, and he did it because it was the easiest thing to do to justify why he wasn't as successful as me. Now, why would he even think that? I thought the world of my dad. What? I thought he was awesome, But they choose to do this, you guys, and they have a problem with somebody who especially someone who is a high achiever, which I have always been. So they're going to, they're going to act the way they're going to act. They didn't have to do that. There's families that don't do that. There's families that are proud of their children, all right? And if my daughter was did great stuff, oh my God, what I would have done for her, okay? Even if she didn't do great stuff, but she was just a great person, what I wouldn't have done for her, all right? But when they're backstabbing you and they can't wait to see you fall and just, this is really bad stuff in my family lineage, where my mother set that whole thing off. So my mom, no. But the influence my mom had, yes, it survived her. And it survives families on the high side, on the good side. There's families that have wonderful parents, and what the legacy they left on their children is awesome. And their children and their grandchildren are recipients of that wonderful influence. Okay, so it works both ways. But I only know what I know from what I've lived, and still am experiencing with this family. Although I see it way out there, I stay way away from them. I won't let them near me. So does that answer that? Okay, so Shelley, in my case, I'm gonna respond to that from my own experience, okay, because that's what I know. My mom, on the other side, I've consulted with my guides about her, and they told me that she feels the same way now that she did when she was here. So she still doesn't like me. And so my answer to you, based on that, is a high probability that what you're feeling about your dad on the other side, still feeling that way, is probably true. So what was his gift in giving that to you? How do you like that? What was my mother's gift in all that abuse? And then poisoning the entire family. Of course, nobody can be poisoned, Shelley, if they don't want to be. If they want to believe something bad about somebody, they'll just open up their brain and go, poison me. I love that. Okay? And that's what they gravitate toward. That's what they reach for. Okay? So it may not have been my mom who would have poisoned my daughter's mind. It may have been a friend of hers if my mom didn't make that contribution. It may have been a friend of hers that stepped up to the plate and said, your mom's a jerk, you know? I can't stand how she's successful. Might have been a friend of hers that could have picked up the tab and satisfied that need for my daughter to not like me, okay? And so then she would poison everybody else, that the granddaughter, her husbands, the whole chain of affairs throughout her family, all right? So it would have been somebody who stepped up, because if somebody really wants to think bad things about you, they will find a way to do it. They're just a sour person. So back to my point with you, Shelley, is what's the gift in that? The gift in that for me was to know, I knew right away from the beginning that these people in my life were not my real family. My guides, my spirit guides, my angels, those who came, who helped me put my life together and undertake this life before I got here, they're my real family. I realized it real young. So you have to understand that that's what's really going on. And the people in your life they're just pawns in the game, in the cosmic game of life. And that's just something you play out here in this lifetime. So my gift from them was to really realize I did the right thing by being true to myself. Realizing that they weren't my real family. That I was good with having them as my family and having them in my life, but not on those terms. No, not to just keep having to look behind me, look around and make sure that I didn't have another knife in my back. That was not the way I was going to live. So I made that choice young, and I realized that you don't take things personally, because if you do, under those conditions, those negative conditions, they will take you down. So that was my gift. I got that gift. You need to see what that gift is for you. Ray, so your happiness made him more miserable. He had a problem that he was unwilling to heal. And he wanted to be right more than he wanted to be healthy. And he wanted to be right more than he wanted you to be healthy or anybody to be healthy. That was his problem. And that was your dad. And you picked him. I know. I picked my mom. I get that, you know. And I at the end of Guided, you know, make sure that you read the ending of Guided, not the last chapter, not chapter 28, but after that, the afterword of Guided, because it talks about how I thanked my mom for, you know, putting me through so much so that I would get myself. She pushed me so hard. I almost didn't make it. And it was because of her that I've become what I am. Crazy, okay? Because I had to really, really, really work harder, because she really, really, really pushed me to the edge. And when that happens, Shelley, when you have somebody who challenges you like that, who refuses to love you, who refuses to accept you, and, you know, any of that, it just makes you have to do that work for yourself. It makes you have to learn to love yourself, okay?